the tendency of all the models is to create less tokens. You see a specific error that AI is repeating itself again and again, then you should improve the rule files with the. If you are into software development, especially being your job or as a software engineer in different multinational company, or someone who is looking to software development industry, this video is really going to be some kind of eye opener hopefully for you, and it will also contain the tips and kind of the procedure that I use in my day-to-day software development workflow. So without much further ado, let's dive into the screen and let me actually show you what this is all about. So this video is about the golden rules of coding with AI. In that regard, there are two important diagrams that I want you to keep in mind. So this is one diagram which talks about more complexity, less performance. So what we are seeing, or what I have seen after doing hundreds of and thousands of hours of coding with AI with different tools like Windsurf, like Cursor AI, and different open source tool like Klein or Continue Dev or whatever, that what happens is when you are trying to build a prototype, AI is really good. Okay, so it is really good at creating the prototype, even the UI and everything with bold.new or whatever tools that you use. And as soon as you have done that phase, the prototype phase, and you want to build a production like feature, then the AI actually starts hallucinating or starts failing. And the reason is because as soon as you have multi-file in the context, and as soon as the AI context is getting large or a lot of features are being embedded into one project, then it kinds of gets confused sometime if you do not specify the file. And if you also specify the files and if you over specify stuff, that means you are filling up the context memory of the AI, and then it generally fails, or sometime it just doesn't produce the output that you are looking for, right? Basically this diagram is showing as your complexity grows, your performance starts to drop. So as you have less complexity and you have better performance basically. So this is how all the tools that I have tested is working, regardless whether they are a really good tool like Windsurf or Cursor, or you are using an open source tool. So yeah, if you are trying to build a quick prototype to showcase to clients, investor, please feel free use any tool, or I would actually recommend to use Windsurf or Cursor at the moment. But there are different other tools like Data Buttons, and I have seen something like called Lovable or something. They are all coming up, and there are different open source tools also. They are also getting much improved. But if you're trying to build production ready software, if you're trying to build really mature software with multiple features, then you really need to follow a strict guidelines or strict workflow using which you can do the development. The second diagram that I want you to also focus is this one. So what this one is saying is that as your project complexity grows, you have to really break down your feature. For example, when you're doing prototyping, you probably have 2 or 3 features in mind that you want to develop. I think you can just write the prompt with all the specification, and I think it will just do fine. It will actually create the prototype for you easily. But as your code base grows, as your complexity grows, as your feature requirement grows, and different file and number of file grows in your project, then it really becomes difficult for AI to keep track of all the files. So that means what you need to do is you need to now break down your feature into as many little components or little steps as possible. So you have to kind of play a role of senior software developer or a software architect, and just break down each feature into subtask or tasks, just the way you do it in Jira or any other software as part of agile framework, right? So please make a note of this. Like maybe you have created 2 or 3 feature with just one prompt, and you suddenly feel like, oh, I have the power, and you continue to do that. And what you'll see is what I have seen as well is it will start to fail, and it will, when it fails, it actually going to also kind of change your existing file, because it will not probably have enough context to know what needs to be changed. And as your project grows, you really need to tie down the dependencies, right? For example, when you ask an AI to just, let's say, implement logging or authentication, it has 1,000 options to do that, right? So when you're building a prototype, I think that is fine because it has multiple way and it can use any of the way to implement it. Now, let's say once you have set your authentication in your project, or once you have set your logging mechanism in your project, that means the next feature you will develop, you have to use that particular logger, or you have to use that particular authentication mechanism. If you do not specify it in your next feature, which is tied up with your authentication or logging mechanism, what AI will do, it will try to use the best effort or least effort basically, and maybe it will use some other logging mechanism or other authentication mechanism which will really break your project so far. So you have to be really careful, you have to break down and you have to reference the existing code files or the existing framework as and when you are progressing with AI. Okay, this is really important, and when I will discuss my workflow as I develop code, you will see that I have been doing that as well. Now let's not waste any more time and let's go to the workflow quickly. So this is kind of my workflow in very high level that I follow. So basically you should create a project plan, whatever project you are trying to do. And I would also request you to break the project plan into like MVP release and then something that you want to do in future. Because when you start the project, I would recommend you to start with MVP, and in MVP you try to keep the core feature first and create a project plan, and the project plan should contain what technology that you want to use, what database you want to use, what authentication framework you want to use, what logging mechanism you want to use, how your architecture should look like. Please do all those things and with some basic wireframing if it is possible, because I know with bold.new or different other tools we are having really solid UI being designed, but maybe that's not something you want as part of your project. So have some kind of wireframing design if it is not the complete design that is in your mind. At least have some wireframing where you want to keep your components and just provide that to AI model, because at the moment all of the I think state of the art model understand vision. So please provide your wireframe design. Maybe you can use Excalidraw or something else to do the wireframe design and just provide it to the AI and keep it in the knowledge base. So that's our so that's the project plan. We have created a project plan using my Cloudway video. I will attach the link. So please check how we used to create project plan with Cloudway. That has really worked for me, and using that I have created many projects in the last few months. So I would really depend on that, but you don't need to. If you have any other way or better prompt, please use that, but you can check the video anyway. The second thing is, once your project plan is ready, I would request you to use some very powerful model like O1 Preview or something like that to create a low level task plan. So you can use Cloudway to Sonnet to create your project plan, but I would urge you to use some powerful thinking model. It could be also Google Gemini thinking, but I haven't tested it myself. But O1 Preview or O1 models are really good in doing analysis of stuff. So I would say give your project plan to one preview and just tell what you want to do, what level of details you want to do, and let it create a low level task plan. This is more about you're creating the project framework in an agile way. So you have really small, subtasks created, acceptance criteria, and all these details that you usually do in any of the project. Because this is really essential, and this will actually help you have your feature ready much faster than you usually would do with just prompting. Okay, it's not, it may feel like to you that it's not something that is required, but believe me, this is something you would definitely want to do at this stage if you are really looking to create some really powerful project or some really matured project which is production like. Okay, then put everything in some kind of ticket format. You do not need to use some Jira or something. You can use some kind of markdown file. But what I want you to do is, for every subtask, add those details in a markdown file and keep it as a knowledge base for AI to refer. This is really important, and you should actually update that knowledge base. So as soon as your feature one is completed or task one is completed, just mark it as done so that AI have a knowledge of what has been implemented, how it has implemented, and what all acceptance criteria that is already been created. This is again very important. These three are not really a project development task, but this is really project management task, but this is so much important to create some premium production like feature and projects. Okay, and I'm coming from my own experience, so please trust me and follow this approach. This will actually ease your life so much that you would thank me later. Now, the fourth thing is please follow a TDD or BDD approach. Anyone you can choose. In a test-driven data framework, what you do is you first write that unit test or integration test first with some dummy data, and then you write the code. Okay, so that your test will actually define what you want to achieve, and then you write the code, and then you run the test, and the test should pass. This is a test driven framework. In business driven framework, it is same, but you do not write the unit test, rather you write some kind of feature level test, which is like a user acceptance test. Okay, so this is more like the business scenario or business case you write with some framework like Cucumber and others. If you are not sure, I would say just ask AI. So, for example, you want to write a subtask or you want to write a feature, just ask AI to first write the test. So it will write the test, and then you can actually ask AI to write the actual code. This is how I would really urge you to approach this will actually help you so much, because once your tests are ready and you know it's working, in the next iteration, if AI created another code for the next task, you can literally run the test suite and check whether your existing functionalities have not broken. This is also called regression testing. So please make sure you follow this will help you so much. Again, you will thank me later. The next point is you can actually use quick win tools for the initial prototype. As I said, this will only to kind of fast track your process, but if you really want to do like step by step, I would say use some kind of better tool like Cursor and Windsurf, because that will actually help you follow the process in one place. But yeah, if you want to just create the prototype version first with basic 2 or 3 feature, you can use Replit Agent or Lovable or Data Button or Bold.new, whatever you want to like. But that is only for your prototype. Please make sure, right? Because those tools, in my experience, is still not there to create production like a code. Okay, unless you specify it explicitly what you want. And I'm guessing if you're watching the video, you are kind of a junior developer, maybe, or you are still trying to figure out how to write a production grade code. Now, once your initial prototype is done, which usually contains 2 or 3 feature at max, not more than that. Once that is done, please export your project and then start use tool like Windsurf or Cursor. I would really not recommend you to do more than 2 or 3 feature with tools like DataButton or tools like Bold.new or something. Okay, please use Windsurf or Cursor because you have more control in your coding. If you know a bit of coding, you can easily actually integrate with their chat feature, and you can improve the code as you need, because a lot of the time AI model don't have the latest library details. And the best part with Windsurf and Cursor is they can actually go and check the library code itself to check the dependencies, which is not possible always with the other tools that I mentioned. Okay, so please do that. Switch to better tools once your prototype is ready, and again follow the same thing. For example, you haven't had any TDD or BDD created yet, you have straight away went into a tool and created the prototype. So what you need to do as a next is you need to create the test. So as soon as you jump to the beta tools, you just say, hey, this is what I have done, these are the tickets that I have already created, can you please write the test? So first step when you come into Windsurf and Cursor is you write the test for existing functionality, and for each of the new subtask that you have created, you should again write the test first. Okay, once you write the test and check if the code is valid, and then you will check if the code is modularized. This is really important, and this is one of the software development principles that everyone should follow, especially being a software developer. So what I mean by modularized is every functions that you write or every function that AI would write, please check that the logic that it is writing is modularized to be reused. Once your code is modularized and it is there for reuse, that means you can actually refer those snippets in your next prompt so that AI can actually write the code better. Okay, this is something you must do, and you must take care whenever AI is writing code. So please review the code, learn if you do not know what it has written. This is also one of the important steps that you should learn what the code AI have written. If you do not know, or if you know how to write code, please review the code, because review is the, it's not the last thing, or it's the first thing that you should do, because sometime AI just produce code. As I said, it knows a lot of context, it knows a lot of process on procedures, so sometimes it just writes the least effort procedure, because the tendency of all the models is to create less tokens, right? That is how the AI is designed. So it will always try to do the least effort uh, coding principle, which is not good or always good for an enterprise grade software. So please, if you know how to write code, or if you know the language you are actually coding, please do a review. And to do review, you should use pull request. Now on that point, what I have mentioned here is you should create a rule file. So both Cursor and Windsurf, or any other tool, or any other such powerful tool, or even VS Code, supports rule file. So please maintain a rule file, and the rule file is something that you should continuously update for each project. Now that's what I mentioned here, that your rule file should contain that to write unit test as a rule, and then it should ask the developer for confirmation to run and show result of the test, and it should also ask confirmation if developer is happy with the code, and then it does the auto commit. And once the auto commit is done, then you should actually push the changes into your repository and do a pull request. And once you do pull request, it maybe there is not a second reviewer, but you please review the code, because that will actually show you if there is any error, or if there is any approach problem, all those things that you will be able to verify. The most important bit is, as I said, your rule file should be improving. If you see a specific error that AI is repeating itself again and again, then you should improve the rule files with the right approach. For example, I have been seeing with both Windsurf and Cursor previously that when it comes to use Sadcian UI, it used to use the old npx Sadcian UI command, which is already deprecated. But the AI model probably doesn't know that, so I have to write a rule that please do not use that, use the latest npx Sadcian command. So this is something as a rule file. So rule file will always update, or should always be improved based on the issue or error that you see every now and then. If you see an error is repeating by AI, you should write a rule file with the fix so that it doesn't do that the next time. And really that's it. As I said, once the auto commit is done, you have reviewed it, you have merged it, and then you go and do the same step. Like for the next feature or for the next subtask, you clear the test again, and then if the code is solid again, and then actually go for writing the code again. You ask AI to write the code, and if you see that in general, I'm saying that if AI is not able to finalize the code, or it is not able to produce the output that you needed, that means in 90% of the cases it is a problem with your prompt. It is not always true that more is better. Okay, so in case of AI driven code development, always remember that less is more. That means you should give it less prompt, you should give it less context, and you should ask it to do less so that it is able to create it perfectly. If you ask too much, if you give more context, it might just get confused. And wherever necessary, use the modularized code in reference, but do not like refer too much as well. Like because what I've seen with Windsurf generally is it knows how to refer codes. It has the search tool within itself embedded in, so it can actually do the search. So you do not need to actually refer the library code, for example. You do not need to do that. If you want to do, just copy a snippet from the library source files and just provide it for context if you see it is uh, you know if it is doing error multiple times. Otherwise you do not need to do that. And if you see that sometime even with the rule files it doesn't do auto commit, or it doesn't do the stuff that you need, then you should do a manual commit. Or maybe you are trying to create a subtask, which is, let's say, an authentication feature you want to implement. Now you see that the registration feature is working, but authentication feature is still need to be implemented, and AI haven't implemented that. That means you have done some progress. Please do manual commit at this stage. So Again, as I said, try to break down as much as possible, but sometimes I know it is not possible at the start. So that is why whenever you see some progress that has happened without breaking the old code, then you must do manual commit so that you save the progress, because it is almost 90% of the time when AI, especially if you are writing code in languages like TypeScript or Java, it will try to refer other files and try to update those files. And that file may have dependencies to other files, which will break it. So please keep that in mind, because AI cannot track the files. Let's say in a modularized approach, it cannot track files where it is used in every other location. It will not do that. It will only focus on your prompt and try to sort that out, right? So please make sure that you do you do commit at the lowest possible progress. And that's it really. If you want a real example of this entire approach, let me know in the comments, and I'm going to create an entire video by creating a real live application by following this process. But I really need to know what your learning needs are, so please let me know in the comments or give it a like, so I will produce a next video by following this particular principle. If you want to have access to this entire file, like the design file, again, let me know in the comments and I will upload it somewhere so that you can have access. With that said, I'm going to end the video. I really hope that you have learned something. If yes, give it a like. Again, subscribe to the channel, and if you can, take the course, because this is all we discuss in our course in much more details with examples as well sometimes. And also, of course, there are other business owners coming in, so you would get much more wider perspective of anything or any of your questions or any of the use cases. So make sure, if you can, join the course and the pre-launch phase at the best price possible. With that said, again, I'm going to end the video. So please take care, and I'll see you on to the next one.